Good morning. Monday morning, 7:32 a.m. It's been a great morning. Uh Kobe. My boy. Uh Gigi, you know, the family that lost their lives. It's been a lot. It's been a lot. It's been an interesting week. Interesting week. So last Sunday, I'm leaving church and all that. I think I went to the gym. Yeah, I went to the gym and then I went to a friend's crib just to hang out a little bit. And I think we're in the Wendy's drive-through. I just glance at my phone, I'm just reactively, just checking Instagram. And TMZ on there talking about some foolishness. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, I'll figure this out. So I refresh my screen and it's everywhere. Kobe. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, my boy. And so I'm sitting there and, my brother hit me up and some other, sports fans hit me up and whatnot. And it hit me like as far as why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? The the slow impact of someone's death that you've never met. You know, this person is impacting me right now. I'm talking to my brother and he's tearing up and I'm tearing up and I'm like, what is wrong with me, bruh? It didn't make sense. And it dawned on me, you know, the impact that one man had on the entire planet from simply playing a game. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. The amount of impact and legacy he left on this planet, the way he was able to impact people's lives and change, people's perspectives and, especially personally being my favorite player in the NBA, my favorite player, Kobe. I still wear his shoes to this day. Um, it's interesting. And it dawned on me, as someone I looked up to as far as a role model is concerned, as far as someone, that I would never play basketball on the level he's played at, or, my skills would never be on his level, or, as someone who I patterned my game after, as far as footwork and all that, Kobe, he's Kobe. He's Kobe. So, you know, he's in this place, I'm in my place. But I ask myself, do I have any amount of potential to impact the planet the way he did in 41 years of life? The only other person that came to mind, well, a couple people. Michael Jackson, the way, he impacts the world. When I was in LA, I took a tour of Beverly Hills and we stopped by his gate, the front of his house, his former residence. And it was the most viewed, you know, videoed place, being that that's all they had access to was his front gate. But, the impact that he had, and then you think of people like Jesus, historically speaking, probably one of the most impactful, historical figures, to ever walk the earth, you know, and all these other, religious leaders and prophets and what have you. It's interesting. It's interesting. And it took me about a week to get my life together. I had a PT test Thursday, did not go well. I passed, but you know, I often reflect on how I deal with grief, especially when it comes to people I've never met, people I've never shook hands with, I've never took a picture with, you know, people that constantly influence my life, and I've never met them. The Eric Thomases, the Gary V's, the Ray Dalios, the Warren Buffetts, the Gary Kellers, the people that I study, and I listen to what they say, and I watch their lives progress, and I watch their successes and their failures, and I try to incorporate, certain principles in my own life. I pay attention to how I deal with grief, because obviously we're all going to die at some point. And so I'm like, why am I so greatly impacted by people I've never met? You know, you have your friends and family that are constantly around you, but it's until they're gone that it kind of it hits you. Obviously, we all experience death at some point. We all experience being left at some point, but you're never prepared for it. Even someone who's on their deathbed, and at some point the end will come, but you're never fully prepared for it. It is what it is. So yeah, it took me about a week to get my life together. Didn't go to the gym the rest of the week. Trying my best to keep my eating on par because I knew I had the PT test coming up. So this happened on Sunday, and then Thursday is my PT test. I'm like, I have all these days that I have to turn to something besides food for comfort. And all I had was YouTube for the most part. It was a rough week, similar to the week that my grandmother passed. Trying to deal with emotions while still knowing the principles and the wisdom and the things I know to do, but also fighting the inward pain. Sunday evening, post, obviously Kobe had just passed, and social media is going up in an uproar. The world is on fire, and I'm on the treadmill running. I'm on the treadmill running with tears in my eyes. And I'm talking to myself like, bro, what is wrong with you, bro? You've never met the man. Never met the man. He doesn't know you exist. It's crazy. It's crazy. But then, once I reflect on some of the advice I give on this channel, as far as how the mind is how we access the world, our senses are how we access the world. I don't need to touch you to experience you. That's what we call intimacy, where you're interacting with someone's mind. Being aroused has nothing to do with being physical. So Kobe can impact me, Gary Vee and the Eric Thomases and what we call motivation and esoteric information. We can be impacted without never being in the same room. Hence why there's 6 of you watching, and we've probably never met. So it's things like that I reflected on, and just a lot of thoughts passed. I took a ton of notes. I have so many notes I'm not even gonna touch. I still have to address all of them. These are just notes that are just free flowing. Just write this down, talk about this tomorrow. I plan on making a video on Monday. I was like, nah. Think, reflect, write it down, and then go back and look at it and, adjust and reflect. So yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting, and again, tragic. What I will say that I observed was probably one of the most beautiful, peaceful days on social media. Absolutely amazing. Dare I get philosophical on you? Why is it that the only time that we can be, peaceful with one another is when someone dies? Obviously, there's something to that. It was one of the most beautiful days, if not weeks, that I've ever witnessed, probably only second to Michael Jackson. When these icons, when they pass, all of a sudden, when we have tragedy, when we have mass shootings, when we have someone that was unarmed shot, all of a sudden now we have this great perspective that life is valuable. This comes out of nowhere. Everybody understands this instantly. Life is valuable. A 13-year-old passes, never reaching anywhere near adulthood, just barely getting a grip on who she is. And all of a sudden, it clicks. Life is valuable. Give it a couple days, and we're back to foolishness. It's crazy. It's crazy. Very interesting week. This has been a very interesting week that I was able to kind of just step back. I wasn't trying to output anything. I wasn't trying to, talk to anyone. I wasn't trying to really answer any DMs. I was really trying to listen to my body, listen to my mind, listen to what I was feeling. During times of grief, it's when I stop doing and I just like to think sometimes. Luckily I had a friend with me that gave me a hug. That was a great hug. But yeah, there wasn't a time for me to make any major decisions, any major purchases. That's when I just really get down to what really matters. And we all know what really matters. Sometimes it just takes death to put life in perspective. And sadly, death does the best at this when it comes to humans. We are so creative and we are so deep. But yet it takes someone losing their entire life for us to realize, oh, life is what is valuable. People are what matter. Why is that? And trust me, I'm not preaching to anyone because I do the same thing. I would rather, be on my phone than have a small talk conversation with a stranger. Why? If that person died, I will be impacted instantly, even if I never met them. We now live in a time, and this video is not going to be long. Shout out to the naysayers. Shout out to the critics who think I can't make a quick video. We will throw hands on occasion. Trust me. You know who you are. There will come a time where I'm just going to start throwing hands on people. Anyway. Grief. It's one of the worst times to make a a big move. One of the worst times. It's one of the worst times to attempt to change directions in life. A couple things that I picked up from Kobe. Again, I have a ton of notes. I'm not even gonna read off them. I'm not even looking at anything. I'm just kind of getting things off my chest, getting a week's worth of thoughts. Whatever comes on mind is what I'm just gonna get off my chest until I have to leave for work. But yeah, a couple things I learned from Kobe is that obviously he's known for his discipline. He's known for his hard work. He's known for his competitiveness. He's known for being Kobe. Everything that he was on the basketball court. Obviously, he was more so off the court. I mean, in different areas. Like he was different. We know the basketball player, but we've never met the human being, the person who goes to sleep. Whatever time he goes to sleep and what he likes to eat, and obviously his family knew a different side of him. But the theme for this year for myself was discipline. Still is. Still is. Kobe paid attention to detail. One of the things I used to cope this week, as far as his passing is concerned, is watching his interviews. And it's what I do with everyone that passes. I go back, like Michael Jackson, when he passed, I never listened to his music before he passed. But I ran through his whole entire discography once he passed. I'm like, this dude was amazing, man. There's this youngin that passed away. I believe she was from Cali. She was a rapper. I can't think of her name. I think it was like Alexis Alger or something like that. But I heard, I think Barris's Club brought her up. But yeah, she passed. And she was 21 years old. Overdose. And I ran through her discography. And it's a way I get closure in my own way. So I watched Kobe's interviews start to finish. 2-hour lecture. 2-hour interview. I just go through it and just closure. Listen to their last words. I always go back to their Instagrams and look at their last post. Asking myself, which one of my Instagram posts will be my last one? And will it leave an impact? I go to Vanessa's page and, she grew 4 to 5 million followers in a day. And I look at her first post and her words and her hashtags. And I'm really just studying grief, and I'm studying loss, and I'm studying what it means to have someone and lose them. I posted on Twitter, how in a lot of ways, I would rather go without than to have to deal with loss and the pain of losing something you value. But I know that that's triggered by fear. The foundation of that whole entire thought process is fear. Meaning I can't make decisions from fear, although it be painful. And, it's hard for me to deal with that. Just speaking honestly, I speak about the reality of fear and how it's not real. I talk about fear, about how it's something you have to address and you have to go the opposite direction. But when it comes to my own life, I struggle with that, especially when it comes to intimate relationships, even with my own family. When it comes to dating and when it comes to pursuing long-term relationship, how do I get over that hurdle? Because at some point, someone will have to leave. Obviously, this dates back to my childhood. Something will happen, and obviously, now I'm not going to get into all that, but I, I go there mentally. I visit my past to explore past victories and past failures. I try to replay the victories and I try to avoid the past mistakes. But, that hurt doesn't go away. The scar I received from slamming my finger in the door, the scar is still there. Ton of thoughts everywhere. But, this has been a great week for thinking. I enjoyed it, honestly. I wish it wasn't, stimulated by the passing of one of my greatest role models, my greatest influencers. Someone who played a game. Think about that, people. I asked a friend at work, and I was like, I wonder if I could ever impact the world as much as Kobe did by simply doing finance in the Air Force. Is that possible? It's possible. How probable is it? Who knows? But think about that. That was his job. Yes, he loved it. Yes, it's a game that we all play as hobbies. But he impacted the world by the way he prepared to do his job. People go to the gym to watch Seaman Panda and Ulysses World, these amazing bodybuilders with crazy amounts of discipline. Yes, they may or may not be on steroids. Who cares? Who cares? But people go to see Mayweather work out. They go to see Ulysses World, Mike Rashid. People pay money to go watch someone prepare to do their job. No one would ever come watch me prepare to do finance. Think about how crazy that is, the amount of impact people can have. And it made me really address my life. It made me really address, how I live my own life. Like, there's a time limit. Death will always put life in perspective. Death will always, it makes you ask the big questions. Where do I come from? What gives my life meaning? Why am I here? How do I tell right from wrong? Is there a God? What if I'm wrong? If I don't know everything, if I don't know half of everything, could the truth exist in the other half of everything I don't know? Could God exist in the other half of everything I don't know, assuming I know half of everything, which I don't? Where do I go when I die? Where does the mind go when we die? Death will always make you ask these questions because, it quickly tells you what really matters. Dark times will always reveal the unnecessary. It's interesting. I got about 10 minutes. Kobe, discipline. It's the first word that comes to mind when I think of him. Discipline. Imagine an entire group of people spanning a 20-year career and they all say the same exact thing about you in a positive light. Obviously, everybody didn't like him. Obviously, everybody had, different perspectives of Kobe and his past and the courts and what have you. But imagine you going a 20-year career, and as people come and go, people retire, people come into the league, they all say the same thing about your work ethic, your character, the way you were a father to your children, the way you were a family man, the way you approached, day-to-day tasks. That's amazing. There's a couple of ways that I look at time. It's in relation to how I interact with other human beings. There's first impressions, there's reputation, and there's lasting impression. Kobe's first impressions, as far as when I went to go watch Michael Jordan interviews and Shaq interviews, and how people really spoke to his impact and his ambition and his attitude and his anger and his I want this. His reputation that he built with his actual performance and what he did on and off the court. His reputation, his numbers, his achievements, his successes, his failures, the air balls he shot, the willingness to shoot another air ball, the willingness to go back and try again. His ugly first shoes, the Adidas, the ugly, I don't even know what they call it. Obviously, nobody's wearing them. The collectors might have them, but, then there's the lasting impression that he leaves behind. He left this earth. If I were a conspiracy theorist, one would argue he had one of the most perfect stories of his life. The way he entered the game, the way he played the game, what he achieved while he played the game, the way he left the game, 60-point final game, and the way he left this earth. Tragic, obviously, tragic. But his lasting impression will compete with some of the greats. I'm talking about in humanity. His lasting impression. The way he left the Los Angeles Lakers and the state of California and the city of Los Angeles. That's an amazing lasting impression. It's interesting. I posted even before a while ago, before Kobe actually died. I posted on Twitter about Martin Luther King, on his day. And I asked the question, if you knew that the price for what you wanted was your own death, would you continue? Would you pay that price? If the price for what you want requires your own death, would you continue to pass on that gift to the people coming behind you? This is why I define love as sacrifice. You have those stories of those jumping on grenades and sacrificing their life for the brotherhood or the sisterhood. This is why I define love as sacrifice. There's nothing you can beat in terms of how I express my love than sacrificing your own life. There's nothing more valuable. You have nothing more valuable to offer. There's no gift, no amount of money, no amount of time that you can spend with someone that will, surmount sacrificing your life for someone else. This is why I define love as sacrifice. I don't use that word, very just sporadically. I love you. No, I love you too. Oh, I love you too. Death will automatically bring true meaning. You have to redefine certain words in your life when you bring death into the conversation. When death is the foundation and you say, we all end here, you're not getting out of this life alive. Now you have to redefine certain words. You have to redefine what it means to wake up on a Monday morning. The time you wake up, the time you go to sleep. I spent yesterday with a friend from my deployment and a friend I work with watching the Super Bowl. Why? Because I'm like, I need to readdress how I spend my free time. It needs to be more people in my free time. I can't keep taking road trips by myself, vacations by myself. It makes me feel better. I got 4 minutes. It's selfish, but giving is selfish by definition. Giving is always selfish because it makes you feel better, and it will always, surmount what you did for that other person. The way you feel Giving is its own reward. You know you did something right by giving, by helping, by showing mercy, by showing grace. Kobe. Got some new shoestrings for my Kobe's. I'm about to relace them up. Obviously, Saturday morning I dropped numbers on them boys. Sunday yesterday I went in there, gave them 30. I'm wearing my Kobe's, you already know. It's not a game. It's not a game. But yeah, tragic, sad. I told myself that, no matter how large this audience grows, or maybe it won't grow, or maybe it'll stop at a certain point, or maybe I'll get tired of YouTube, maybe I'll get tired talking to a camera, who knows? But one thing I did tell myself is like, as many people as that I can impact, as many people as that I can help, as far as, impacting someone's life, helping someone, change the path of their life, help them avoid certain mistakes, help them avoid the mistakes I made. As long as I can do that, I did my job. Obviously YouTube is not always going to be a thing. MySpace died, Vine died, Facebook one day is going to die, YouTube one day is going to die, it's going to be replaced by something else. But as many people as I can help, as long as this channel is a thing, as long as YouTube is a thing, the internet is a thing, do my best to leave an impact, leave a lasting impression on people that I've come across, both in person and on the internet. Meaning I need to pay more attention to the people I work with, knowing that one day they're not going to be there. I'm not going to be there one day. We're going to go separate directions. What's the term? Uniformitarianism? Uniformitarianism? Basically a concept that would argue that, the world was always the same. The factors, the variables were all in the same place. Gravity was always negative 9.8 meters per second, whatever the calculation would be. The sun was always the same distance from the earth. Light always went at the same speed. Well, obviously we know that, people are not always going to be here. Your family will not always be together. The moments you have will not always, lead to other moments that are similar, or, lead to the same end result as far as happiness or joy, or, those beautiful moments that you guys have. Cherish what you have. You're going to have to. Whether in the form of regret or in the moment. Doing it intentionally, consciously. I'm not going to lie. I don't fear death for myself. Not at all. I do think about like the ways I could possibly die. Obviously that comes up. I don't want to be sawed in half. But when you think about, the death of people around you, people that you love, I'm not going to lie, that's a very scary thought. I hate being left behind. I hate being left. But, with that same thought, I can be proactive with it. There's two ways to set goals. Goals that pull you towards something, and goals that push you towards something. I'll go ahead and adjust that. There's variables that push you towards your goals, and then there's variables that pull you towards your goals. Meaning I can be running away from something towards a goal, or I could be running towards something because that's my goal, or because I want something, because you get the point. You get the point. It's 8 o'clock. Headed to work, head to the metro. Something I'm gonna try, and I don't want to say it out loud, but I think if I say it out loud, I actually do it. I'm gonna try doing 1-minute phone calls with everybody in my family. 1 minute. And not that it will always stay at 1 minute, but the fact that I need to be more proactive. I need to try more. And I don't hate my family. I have no beefs with my family. but it's still something I need to address in my subconscious that's keeping me from doing what I know I need to do as far as being more present, being more active with those I love. So, it's just a thought, something that came up as far as just hearing their voice, just just trying that much harder, and just seeing if I can grow it into a healthy, you know, obviously we have all this technology, but do we still communicate proactively? That's something we have to talk about. So that's the video. I'm headed to work. Y'all have a good day. Have a good week. Keep life in perspective. Don't wait. Don't wait for death to do it. Keep life in perspective. Be grateful. Show gratitude. Thank the people around you. Be kind to those around you. Be kind to strangers. Oh, it's gonna be a good day. It's gonna be a good day. You hear me? Say what's good to your boy.